Hey folks, Stuart here. Well, I just want to give you guys kind of a little bit of a technological break from, well, where we are currently. I can actually upload and put stuff on my phone. I can put stuff on um, first generation iPods, MP3 players, and all the rest. But you know what? We really kind of came from that which was simply the cassette tape. You can go on eBay now, you can find them, they're fairly cheap. The biggest thing that I can tell you for a fact, actually, I got this one upside down. The biggest thing is, of course, that, cassette tapes are limitations upon the sound quality. You're still going to get the music. You're still going to get the music in the place and, considerable thing in terms of tracks. But unfortunately, you go from the one track to the next track. You don't simply just go, oh, I want to hear track two. Click. Now it's like you got to fast forward through it till you finally get to it. Kids, if you don't know how these work, let me give you a basic, breakdown of how a tape actually works. What this is a piece of tape. So basically a piece of plastic with metal oxide, reed rust, and they put a magnetic charge through it, and there's a little thing that basically slips into this little slot right here. That little felt guy holds the tape up. The little head is what it is. It's a recording or a read head. Lands on that, basically reads the tape as it's zipping by at 1.2 inches per minute, or per second, I forget what it was, but 1.2 inches per, I think it was actually inch point two per second. I think that's actually what the actual speed was. So essentially what it is you would have tapes, and they got fatter and fatter and fatter until finally you have like a 45-minute per side, 90-minute tape, and literally this reel would almost be the full size of the case. Now, the other thing they would do too is they would actually make the tape thinner, so they could fit more tape in the cassette. The cassette's the cassette. It's not changing up on size. It is what it is, what it is. Now, the kicker is, of course, this, of course, being Metallica Justice for All, a very good album, by the way. The length, depth, and breadth of this technology was pretty much at its zenith back when people had tape decks in their cars. And yeah, I actually do have a tape deck in my CRV, but pretty much they're going bye-bye because nobody really is using cassettes anymore. Yeah, it's an easy adapter. Yes, they plug right into your car. But case in point, this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs on one side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs on the other side. So not even 10 songs on this thing. It's like 9 songs, 4 on one side, 5 on the other. That little 2 gig booger here can carry at least 10 to 12 of these, and the sound quality is never going to change. These do wear out. So if you do find CDs are pretty much archival. They really don't wear out unless you scratch the snot at them, or you break them, or you do something else untoward to them. Tape does not take nicely to being handled badly. It can stretch, it can snap, it doesn't like temper conditions. In cold weather, tapes are infamous for breaking. Infamous. Hot weather, you tend to stretch them up and then they sound, they kind of garble up and get all kinds of weird stuff. But the thing about it is if you have a tape and you transfer it over to your computer, it will never sound as good as a CD, ever. The limitations on the sound is going to be as such that pretty much you are using probably about, to put it charitably, you're using about 60% of the music, period. You're going to have, pretty much the mid-range. You're going to have a lot of highs, some mid-range, maybe some bass, but the perfectly clean, crisp sound of a CD or MP3 or, Windows Media is not going to be present on a cassette tape. Now, the kicker is, of course, there's a lot of stuff that's out of print that you can only find on cassette tape. Now, to take a cassette tape and put it in your computer is really not rocket science. You have all kinds of jacks on board. Like mine, for instance, I actually have jacks on board, one for an earplug, one for a microphone. You have jacks in the back to take all kinds of adapters. There's all kinds of these things. The biggest problem you're going to have playing with a cassette tape is simply finding a cassette tape player. Personally, what I would do, I don't know if I would find like some old Walkman or something. I think I'd rather find something like, just a decent, cheap tabletop tape player, read like a boombox, use output jack for the headphones, and run that into your computer. Give it a listen, give it a clean up, but it's never going to sound CD quality. So pretty much you're stuck with dealing with, an old technology that's pretty much completely obsolete. I do have a fairly good collection of, cassette tapes because I was listening to them constantly when I drove a tow truck. So I had a really decent music library, and I used them all to a great degree and effectiveness. I commend it to you, folks. Something that's still around for the moment probably is going by the wayside. 8-track tape is gone. Cassettes are on their way out. CDs are probably not going to be around for too terribly much longer, simply because it's just easier to put stuff into an MP3 player. I'm going to break up all this for folks. Eat good, keep it sunring. As always, you know I love it. Miss Cassette Tape. Well, Mr. Cassette Tape's probably going on the way out, and they're not going to be around for too terribly much longer. A generation or two, they're not even going to know what a cassette tape was, except for the fact that it jumped in between the 8-track tape, the phonograph, and to current technology. Good stuff. And they still sound, to me, they still sound good, but okay, I know there's a lot of people going, oh, it's limitation, whatever. Get a cassette tape, you'll hear it. See you guys.